All right, Wayne Bettis here, the founder of the Off the Tools podcast. I just want to introduce you to our brand new sponsor, directplumbing.supplies.com. It is founded by a former tradesman who has set up his own plumbing and heating merchants. He has an online shop, which is obviously at directplumbing.supplies.com, and he delivers across the UK. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show.
You are now listening to Off the Tools with the one and only Wayne Bettis.
If you're passionate and driven and focused in what you do, people will take notice. You can achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
The excuses are not valid.
Are we ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we were waiting.
We're rolling.
I
Sorry, it was taking me ages. It wasn't letting me share.
Of the Tiger.
Let's go.
Welcome, Plum Chat, Off the Tools podcast, Off the Tools Academy, Off the Tools people, to another Wednesday evening with Wayne's World Wednesdays, and in the house, it's Francis Rodino, Carolina Cohen moderating, lots of social media messages, and the Lord, the one we all aspire to be, our leader, our tribe master, Wayne Bettis.
Hello. How are we all doing?
We're good. I'm good. How are you doing today?
Tired. Not going to lie, I am shattered.
Well,
But
yeah, go on.
consistency is the secret ingredient. So I am still here showing up because I promised I would. And we've got to keep rolling. The show goes on.
The
The show doesn't care about how I'm feeling.
Sounds good. Well, there's a whole world out there and they're listening. All of those tens of people.
And the millions that are missing out.
We were listening back to the to the video, I think it was last week, and listening back to you say that we were absolutely
I'd planned it. I wanted to get that line across. I wanted to be like, do you know, who is it? That Michael Buffer, isn't it? It's to the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. But I wanted to do the opposite. And the millions not watching around the world.
It's great. It's great. Well, if they're, the smaller and more intimate, hey, we can go deep on some chit chat.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, there's not many on the Zoom at the minute, but we've got 20 odd people watching around the country. So, do you know?
As usual, send us your questions in the chat. Carolina's going to be summarizing, and welcome Nathan. Nathan in the house. Okay, we got a couple more people joining in. Thomas and Etan.
I think Etan said he wasn't coming. Has he changed his mind?
Etan.
He's changed his mind. He's turned up. What's happened?
Right.
Okay, we're in a small
Managed to
group,
get
so that's wonderful. Nice to see you. So we are the hardcore. We are the hardcore, and we'll be rewarded in the next life. All right, so let's get started. We don't have any questions at the moment. So we thought we were chatting amongst ourselves, and we would think, hey, we are approaching 2021. And what a hell of a great year it's been, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think we agree to disagree.
It's been awesome, right?
It's one that we're never going to forget. So from that aspect, awesome. It's been one that hopefully is going to teach us a lot of lessons. So awesome again, I suppose. Obviously, there's been some bad stuff. but that's life, do you know? And it's about how you bounce back. Reference the boxing. It's not how hard you get punched. It's how no, I've royally messed that up. And I, Francis.
Nobody noticed.
My brain is like hurting. I'm really sorry, guys. I will slow down and I'll try and think a little bit before I speak tonight.
Okay, let's go around the room if we could and say sort of succinctly, what is one big learning that the pandemic or 2020 has taught you that perhaps is just you've grown from this arguably shitty year? Wayne?
What might seem impossible is possible. So in a good way and a bad way. So always push the boundaries because you just never know. Do you know, if we were sat here February this year and said what was going to happen this year, you'd have all laughed at me and thought I'd gone crazy. And it just goes to show that life is unpredictable. Business is unpredictable, and you've got to have a very adaptable mind to react. And that's the key, is to be able to react fast and adjust, iterate what you're doing to try and maximize the anything that is happening around you, because you can't control everything, but you can control your reaction to everything. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Anyone like to share what they've learned this year? Nathan? Oh, wait.
It's never too late to learn. Things were maybe going on from what Wayne said there, but things come at us so fast sometimes, and it's that adaptation and also that learning and holding his hands up sometimes when we've got it wrong and learning from that, and then but being able to move on. Learning the mistake, not necessarily regretting it, but learning what you've done wrong and being able to improve.
Nice one, Nathan. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Etan?
I learned to let go. So when in March, when everything turned to shit overnight, and I was panicking because I thought we were going to go bust, and suddenly this iron control I'd had over everything just fell apart, and I just let go and just rolled with the punches and just made good decisions, best decisions I could. And and now I don't get stressed out really that much, because you can't control everything.
I'd echo that. That has been one thing that I've sort of noticed from us spending more time together, like obviously over this whole period, is that you're genuinely just obviously I didn't really know you before the pandemic. So, but from what I know, you're just always very calm. You know, you
I wasn't before.
Was you not? No, but that's definitely something that I've noticed. You have a lot of plates spinning, but you sort of like it's just you just start chilled and just work through it, which is great.
But before the pandemic, I was micromanaging everything and panicking. I was looking at the bank 50 times a day, and it didn't matter how controlled things were. But then when you're hit with like a global pandemic that threatens to kill everyone, and you're pretty sure your business is going to go down the toilet, and you think about it, you think, well, realistically, what is the worst thing that can physically happen to me, my wife, and my kids from this? Realistically, you can still go out and fix boilers, do it for cash if you need to. And that kind of just changed everything. And from not caring so much, it kind of, or letting go a bit, kind of opened all these other doors because your eyes are open. So yeah, that's what I learned anyway. That was
nice
the main
one.
thing.
Yeah, Tom,
cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, man.
Thomas, how about you, mate? What have you learned this year from all of the challenges that it may have brought?
Very similar to what Etan said. It does come down to the point of you just go, what's the worst that can happen? the whole scheme of things, even now, if things are getting a bit much, then just attend to the most important things. I think that's really important, focusing on what is most important, because that is the thing that's going to upset you most. Get rid of the first thing and deal with things one at a time. Delegate when you can. But I think the one thing I really noticed though was that when we had lockdown, the amount that you could achieve with time, we could throw all the money in the world at many things, but it's the time you really need to manage. I've seen that a lot of the guys talking on the groups are really busy and doing 14-hour days, 16-hour days, and I don't think they've priced their jobs right, possibly. But now they're all struggling and they've got no time. So I think you need to learn to manage your time, and if that comes through whatever byproduct of business, whether it's systems or staff, I've learned that make sure that that's all managed right, and you're honest with the builders and the customers. I'll get there this date, but you've allowed yourself enough time, and that's the most important thing. Looking after your time, the money will come eventually.
Time management is such a huge topic. If you look at all the questions that I see, all the people I speak to, fundamentally the initial problem is a lot of the time is time management. And the best thing I ever sort of grasped was that time is limited, right? But we treat it as if it's infinite, as if it's just as if there's just loads of time. If you treated time the same way you treat your money, unless you're a gambler and like piss it up the wall, but in general, you would be a lot stricter on what you allow your time to be spent on. And over the years, like, I'm not perfect. There's times where I go balls deep and I'm like, I'm having to grind out what I need to get done. But I fall back to the training that I've had about keeping. So whatever time I want to commit to whatever it might be, that's what I have. So I allocate that time. And you've probably all seen that video of where you have a jar. And you have the pebbles, the sand. If you haven't seen it, I'll have to find the link to the YouTube. But in essence, it's like you have to put the most important things in first. So with whatever time you've got available. So if you've got 40 hours that you want to commit to work, then you have to be strict with that time as if it was money. So if you only had £1,000 to spend, you can only spend £1,000. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself in debt. And the same works with time. If you give too much time, you're gonna have a debt in some other parts of your life, and that principle. To be honest, I haven't given it the best justice there, and I'll probably go deeper on this on another day when I'm feeling a little bit fresher. But in essence, you've got to respect that time, and one of the biggest things for me is about leveraging that time. So, a good analogy, a good example would be if you're a service engineer. You get 8 hours, right? So you can do 8 hours of time jobs in that day if everything goes smoothly. And you earn your money, but you're only going to earn that money that one time on that time that you've committed to. Whereas the way I look at things, it's not always possible. I always look for the leverage point on it. So can I put 3 or 4 hours into something, whether it be building out an email campaign, whether it be recording a video that I can then share multiple times and basically leverage that initial pot of time on multiple occasions. I've got automations running in ServiceMate that I probably spent an hour back in 2018 building, and it's still doing a job for me today. That's leveraging. That's using my time to the best ability, because I could just write that email out to every customer, but that would just be ridiculous. And I see so many people working 16 hours a day, flat out, not seeing their family, not having any time for yourself, because it took a while for my wife to sort of fully grasp this, but you have to be selfish. Okay. And this is a generalization, but most women, put their children first and stuff like that. And they don't put themselves first, but I can't, obviously I try to encourage my wife to make sure that she's looking after herself as well. But from my perspective, I'm going to come back to my perspective, is I can't be the dad I want to be, or the husband I want to be, or the friend I want to be, or the business coach I want to be, or the business owner that I want to be, if I'm not looking after myself. It's like if you're on an aeroplane, you put your own oxygen mask on first, because you can't help anyone else from dying if you freaking can't breathe yourself. And it is a selfish mentality, but if you use that selfishness in a positive way and actually start to look after yourself, and then as a consequence you leverage that looking after yourself to show up for those that need it, whether it be your employees, whether it be your partners, wives, husbands, whatever, kids, whatever it might be, you have to be at the best you can be before you can even show up for anybody. Went off on a little tangent there, but I hope that made some sense.
You're right as well. And what you say about when you were sort of loosely touched then on being like a maintenance engineer or someone, if you booked in 8 hours of work and you could have 3, sometimes 5 jobs within that, and it could be, changing an expansion vessel, something quite straightforward and quick, and you might have a 3-hour job which involves a bit of testing, and the job in the middle, if the customer doesn't leave the key or something silly like that and you can't get in, you've wasted an hour in them. But then you bill them and then they kick off and you're like, well, no, it's my time. And they feel that we are,
no one's going to respect your time. Only you are, no one, everyone's priority, everyone's emergency is the most important thing in their world, right?
Exactly.
And if you let that become your priority, then it's a downward spiral. You have to be very, very strict on what you allow to suck the time that you have away from you, because as we all know, it doesn't come back. You can't go back to last week and not do all them hours. All you can do is change what goes forward. And that's fundamentally the most important thing. You see so many people. Again, it's another concept that I learned recently, and it's about being in motion, which is what most of I think we spoke about this earlier, Nathan, didn't we, on our chat? So in motion is like doing stuff, just maybe planning to a degree, ideas, and things. And that's all well and good. You need a little bit of in motion, but fundamentally, if you want anything to happen, you have to take action. You have to be in action to actually move things forward. And you see so many people that are just in motion and they're just sort of looking, things are going well. But if you go back to them a year later, then nothing's really changed. It's the same everything's sort of the same. It's because they've spent the year in motion, sort of looking busy. They might be busy physically, but they're not actually progressing. They're not in action. And action is actually getting out and doing something, whatever it might be. It's actually changing the situation. And
that's what I call the roundabout.
I love that. Same thing. Round and round, and then you turn around and you're like, I've been here before. Where's that time gone? It's gone and forgotten about now. And it's easy to sit here and say, of course it is, but you can start small. Taking action can be something as simple as signing up for that software that you wanted to try and actually trying it, not just signing up or not just buying the course and not watching it. It can be instead of saying you're going to go for a run, go for the run, and the more you do it, the more the habit builds of actually taking action. And like, I always believe that you have to do the things that of the person that you want to be. So I want to be someone that can run a marathon. So the only way I'm ever going to get there is by being someone that runs 7 days a week, because that's what someone that runs a marathon would have to do. Of course, I'm going to slip up. Of course, there's going to be downs, like days that I don't do it. And the odd one is a mistake. It's an accident. It happens. If you miss 2 or 3, that's them forming its own habit. So, you've got to let yourself have that 1 or 2 little slips, but you've got to get back on and move things forward. Always. If you're not moving forward, you're actually going backwards because everything else is moving along. So
nice one. Would anyone else like to share? The subject was, what is one massive takeaway or learning that you can share with us about this pandemic year? Anyone would like to raise your hand? No? No.
Oh, pin drop. I hear the pin drop. Oh, wait, Nathan's coming back.
Okay, Nathan.
Just after the Chancellor's announcements today and everything that's gone on, I didn't hear it. I've only heard snippets, but the economy is not going to get back until 2023. This is a good time, and I think in groups like this is also because there's doom and gloom, but let's look at it as a positive, and between us, let's look at opportunities and see what's out there and help each other. You know, everybody says it's a dog eat dog world. Yes, it is in an aspect, but people do generally like to help each other, and this is where this is good and with ideas. And like I say, let's look at this downturn in the economy, not just as oh God, like's been said before, I'm going to go bust, oh dear, whatever. But let's look at the opportunities that are available to us and be able to share those ideas. And during this time, grow.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. I'd love to share my experience, if I may, as well, because this has been a pretty transformational year for me and Carolina here. And I think that so many good things have also come because we would have never expected to be doing Wayne's World Wednesdays and being involved in a community like this. And also our business shifted, and we've made amazing relationships and gone places that if you asked me a year ago what I was doing with my life and my business, I would have been like, no, you're fucking joking. Absolutely. And the thing is, I think that the pandemic for a lot of people has brought out a lot of humanity, right? Because a lot of businesses have been pushed to, that bubble that many businesses were in when you're in a buoyant 10 years and you don't have to work for it as hard, right? You don't have to differentiate yourself as much. It's just happened. That's when you're in a buoyant market.
Yeah.
When you're in a depressed market, that's where, if you can do business in a depressed recession or use that time to pick up the pieces, everything's going to be so much more, I wouldn't say easier, but straightforward, right? Because the market will then pick up, and it's a massive time for learning and relationships, and maybe putting the ego a little bit aside to say, well, what I thought I knew and what I thought was always right maybe isn't so right, and actually there's other ways of doing things, right? And that is a really it's a massive accelerator of growth.
Yeah.
So I wonder what do you think?
Lead Hero is the UK's #1 marketing automation platform for ambitious trades businesses looking to save time, make more money, and level up. Because just getting leads is not enough anymore. Lead Hero will help you triple your sales and maximize profits with our job flow acceleration system. Visit leadhero.ai to learn more.
I in the last recession, I actually grew my first business, and looking back, I can already see the similarities of what happened then. Obviously, there's some people. I'm looking around the room. No one's that old, but the guy that taught me, he had been through the cycle a few times, the ups and downs. That happen every 10, 15 years. Whereas the first recession, 2008, 2009, whenever it was my first experience as a business owner. And at the time, I just thought, oh, great, I'm doing well. Business was between 2008 and 2011. It was where I really grew from myself into having a showroom, and all of the stuff that we spoke about last week. And I'm seeing the similarities that the hard work and the dedication is starting to pay off again. There's lots of competition, but we're getting busier and busier and selling more and more boilers because we're doing things. We're out there, we in essence, I'm trying to say that the good excel in the downturns, and the not so good generally start to fade away. So I see it as an opportunity. I think we're going to have from a humanity point of view, I think the next year is going to be chaotic for so many people. There's going to be so many industries that are going to be, once all this furlough and all this crap stops, there's going to be so many redundancies. There's going to be lots of people struggling. But to flip that, I think our industry, I think people, you can't, in the modern world, you can't live without heating and hot water. It has to be done. There's stuff that has to happen to function a normal life. And so to take away, obviously there are going to be lots of people struggling. I think if we're doing a good job and we're putting ourselves out there and we're attracting the right clients, there's no reason why we can't massively grow in that downturn. Because from my experience, you people, because they haven't got much money, they're not going on holidays, they're tightening the belts, they're looking at ways to save money in the long term, they're not moving generally. Do you know, we might see a little upturn at the minute while this stamp duty's low, but once that goes again, we're going to just see the house moving slow down, and that means people have to do the boiler that they weren't going to do because they were going to sell and leave it for the new owner and stuff like that. And I'm excited from that aspect, you know, from me as a business owner aspect. I'm super excited for next year because I can just see the opportunities that are gonna come up from it. But I'm also sad because there's going to be lots of bad stuff as well, unfortunately, but I can't control that. So I can't do anything to stop that, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. So, I'm sorry. Was that Phil?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I was just gonna say, well, Wayne, whenever we do go into a recession, whenever any country goes into a recession, the businesses that up their marketing during the recession booms so much after it. And you know, when you look at the first thing for businesses to make cuts is marketing. Yeah, when we go into recession, the first thing they do is go, right, stop the marketing, stop advertising, and we all need to look at it, a spin on a different way and say, no, up the marketing. Whatever you're spending on marketing during a recession, if you can afford to, double it, because coming out the back of it, you will just absolutely fly.
I'd echo that. Yeah, definitely. As long as it don't put you under undue risk, of course. But I totally get the sentiment. And I also think it shows what's the word? Do you know, if you're out there when everyone else isn't, it's showing that you're I can't think of the word, strong enough. Do you know, you're resilient. Resilient's the word. The business that you've got is resilient enough to go out and get at it. And I definitely echo what Phil said there. Definitely.
So
it's gonna.
Yeah, let me facilitate a little bit and move us forward. Because I know that Wayne wanted to chat a little bit about the future. So we're talking about the past last year, and let's talk a little bit about the future. We're coming up to December really, really fast. And so this is also an opportunity to go, okay, how are we going to absolutely crush it in 2021? So Wayne wanted to say a few things. I have a little planner I'd love to share, exercise that you guys might enjoy as well. So Wayne, take it away.
So first of all, we haven't planned this, so what Francis has to say after might be a very carbon copy of what I'm going to say. I don't know, because I don't know what his methods are. But for me, it comes down to so New Year for everyone, you know, is like a fresh start. Stupidly, I don't understand it myself, because I have a fresh start every 90 days. I run everything in quarters, and every quarter I reevaluate. But as a whole and as a society, New Year is like a nice clean slate. It's like a line in the sand to start again. And it basically comes down to planning what you actually want to achieve. So I start off with, and Nathan, we're working together on this week. And I start off always looking at a 3 to 5 year picture of where I want to be. I'm going to just share you something. So This one needs updating, actually, which I'm going to get done soon. This is just a card from Moonpig, right, that I sent to myself. Okay, it's Wayne Bettis, my vision. And then inside it, you've got my long-term vision and my 3-year vision there, right? Where I set out. So I've got my long-term vision of where I want to be. Yeah. So it's a bit of a push, you know, it's going to be a challenge to get to these points that I want to get to. Then I try to like, the process is you need to start off with the end of where you want to get to, and then you've got to break it down. So the first step is to this 3 year. 3 years isn't too far away, you know, so you lose too much motivation, but it's far enough away to really stretch what you're trying to achieve. Then I break it down even more. So then from that, I identify key checkpoints that are going to help show me that I'm heading towards that target. So the next step from the 3 year is to make the 1 year. So if I hit that 1 year target, that's going to be steering me towards my 3 year target, which is then steering me to my long-term vision of what my life, my business, and everything is that I want to create. And then a year target starts to see it. You start to think, okay, well, that's quite achievable. You know, it's fairly close. And I even go one step further. I literally chunk it down to the point where it's a 30-day target. So I know that each 30 days, and I reassess every 90 days to make sure that I'm on track. Each 30 days, it could be, for example, the number of boilers. If you wanted to sell 120 boilers next year, that means you've got to sell 10 a month, right? Which is, God, my maths is gone, 2.5 a week. And the smaller you make it, the more achievable you believe it becomes. Because to sell 2 boilers a week, you only actually really need five opportunities. Do you know, if you're selling at sort of like 40-50% conversion rate, somewhere around that. So it brings these longer term targets into fruition, into actual like tangible things that I can affect that. I can affect that by this time next week. And that means that I'm making baby steps towards these bigger targets that I've set. You can call targets goals, visions. They're all the same thing. I just like the word target because for me, yeah, I've got this image of a target, if you know what I mean, and you can throw darts and get closer to the target. And what it also does is it gives you, when you do reflect, because part of the process of setting targets for the year ahead comes back to reflecting. And when I look back and look at the previous month, previous quarter, I can quickly identify if I started to do things that aren't aligning with what my vision is. You can quickly get sidetracked into doing different things and trying different things, and it's pulling you away. Come back to the time. It comes back to keeping everything as straight as possible. It's never going to be a straight line journey, of course, from A to B. But when you're starting to veer off, you want to know fairly soon. You don't want to get 100 miles in the wrong direction before you realize that, oh shit, what I was aiming for is over there. Yeah, so for me, it's really is setting the target is the first battle, but the biggest part is more of the strategy of breaking that target down into, I call them checkpoints, So when you hit that first checkpoint, you know you're on your way. When you hit that second checkpoint, you know that little bit closer. And if you don't hit the third one, you have to have a look and re-strategize, rethink what's going on to make sure that you hit it in the next time frame that you set yourself. And setting times as well is so important. It's all well and good. I can say, I want to be a millionaire. Well, yes, okay. But why? How? In what time frame? When you start breaking it down, you can then actually start to drive towards it. If you just leave it as a wish, a vision is like a wish. If you just leave it as that, you're not actually moving forward. You're in motion. Coming back to that, you're in motion because you think you're setting yourself these targets and you think you're going to do this, you think you're going to do that. But it's the strategy behind that which is so important. Over to you, Francis.
Amen. And actually, this is just a really great segue because I'm going to illustrate. I'm going to share my screen, and I put together. Now, everyone who actually makes a little bit of time to come on these calls, I'm going to give you this. This is basically a formula, okay, to calculate your targets and break them down, exactly as Wayne was saying. And this is basically a spreadsheet that you can use to plan all of those targets as well. So let's take one scenario, and then we can do it with one of you guys or maybe Wayne or something. But in terms of, say your annual you want to add £1 million to your business. Okay, it's a big figure for many businesses. It's not just about marketing. You also have to fulfill, you need engineers, support. So there's other things, but say you wanted to add £1 million to your bottom line. Well, you just put that into this spreadsheet here, and it will calculate that, to generate £1 million, you basically need to, your monthly revenue target is 83 grand a month. Okay, so it's broken it down into, it's divided it by 12. Then you have to put in your average ticket value. Okay, so depending, you can either put the profit in there. Say you're doing boilers. I don't know what, I've heard profits between £600 to £1,500, depending. I've put in 750 here as well. In terms of revenue, actually, say we put in 2,000, and we just go, this is gross, okay? And then it says, well, actually, how many inquiries? That's like people knocking on your door, interested in purchasing from you. How many would you need every month? Well, that's 42, okay? And to hit, you'd have to basically sell 42 of these. And then how many leads would you need to actually hit that target? So that really depends on your conversion rate, okay? So that is like, you need to be thinking of out of 10 people that come into me, and if you're doing, say these are cold leads from PPC, your conversion rate might be around 20%. If it's more than 20%, you're doing really well. But out of every 10, you close 2 jobs, okay? And then that tells you that you will actually need to generate 208 leads a month to generate those type of sales. Now, if you're paying, these are just plugged in numbers, by the way. But for example, what we're finding on boiler installs, there's a range, anywhere between 25 to sometimes £100 a lead for boiler installs. You plug that into here, and that will tell you that you need about a £5,000 budget to generate that type of leads. And then you can actually, you can start to calculate, that achieving those goals becomes a little bit more realistic. Obviously, many businesses might not want to, to achieve those targets because it's there's different business implications. But say you just want to add, another 200K again to your business during the course of the year, then you see that actually you only really need to be spending around £1,000 a month on paid.
And what that does is it mirrors exactly what I said about, you start off with that big thing and it looks a million miles away, doesn't it? But the time you chunk that down and break it down into smaller steps, I love this spreadsheet. I'll make sure I get a copy, please, Caroline. I ask her because she'll send it, you won't. That's really good. Yeah, no, that's quality.
Yeah, and then you guys can also fiddle with your conversion rates because, if you're investing in your PPC or Google ads, one of the problems we're seeing in the market is that, businesses, they're not spending enough money on Google. Google is a pay-to-play game. It's one of those catch-22 situations where you want to be on page 1, you want to be there making offers and get to people first. Well, you have to pay to get there. But when you plan it right, when you do it right, it can be a very important part of actually growing and scaling. Now, not everybody wants to grow. Some people are very fine on where they are right now in terms of referrals and their traditional marketing. But I think, we all need to start looking at investment into marketing through a different lens. And it's not about, let's do my website or a bit of this or a bit of that. No, we start with the targets that you're looking to achieve for your business. And we work backwards from those figures. And you go, right, well, what do we need to put in place to achieve those targets? And it's just a matter of maths and conversion rates, and you can fiddle around with these with these figures, to get an idea, right? Okay, well, I just need to bring in 42 leads a month to hit that. And then, okay, how am I going to fulfill those jobs? I might need 1 or 2 subbies, another engineer, maybe someone to pick up the phone and answer the phone for me. And then everything just becomes a bit more real, right? So yeah. I'm actually... those of you who were friends on Facebook, hit me up on Facebook. I can send this to you. I'm also going to put this up on my website as a little lead magnet for anybody who wants to, use it. Feel free to use it in your own business. So I thought that might be helpful.
Can I just jump in on that again? So back to what Francis was just saying. That work there that we just did, for me, is the motion that we were talking about earlier. So it's you've done a bit of work, you've got the information. The next step of that is to actually take action. So let's use this example that we've got in front of us. If you've got to get 42 leads, it's all well and good knowing you need to get 42 leads. The next step is to actually take action to drive them leads. So you break it down one step further. That's 10 leads a week that you've got to get on average. Okay, what can we do? What can we do to do that? Okay, I can spend a little bit of money on PPC. I can do a leaflet drop. I can increase my what's the word I'm saying? Referral marketing. Try and introduce people to refer you, to generate them leads for you. That's taking action. And that's where you need to do the in motion stuff, because that's what gives you the platform to start moving from. But fundamentally, it's pointless. It's pointless filling that in, right? Unless you're going to take the next step. Unless you're going to take the next step and actually take action with the information that you now have. Sorry, I get passionate about that because I see lots of people that talk and you need to move, you need to step forward, you need to get in the ring, whatever analogy you want to use.
Anybody know the difference between understanding and knowledge? When you understand something, but you, as opposed to you have the knowledge. No? Okay. No. Well, understanding is like, okay, I understand how Wayne Rooney kicks a ball in the net in the middle of a World Cup. I understand the physics of it. He's running. Yes, I understand it. Can I do it? No. Knowledge is the capacity to make an impact, is to provoke an action, is actually to use that understanding and apply it as well. So
the key there is the applying. You could have the knowledge. I could have the knowledge to be the cleverest bloke in the world, but if I don't do anything with it, if I don't actually do the bits that are needed to show that and to use it, it's pointless. Knowledge is useless, in my opinion, unless you take action on it.
So there's three things then. So there's understanding, there's number one, understanding, number two, knowledge, and then number three, action, in that order.
Yes. Definitely, yeah. Understanding, knowledge, action.
And then
there we go.
Netflix.
And chill.
You need balls.
And balls.
And balls.
Like ping pong balls.
That sounded like a Greek mafia man saying, "You need balls. You need
balls.
Big furry balls.
Give me balls. Give me your balls." Sorry. And
Zetan's web designers, isn't it?
We are a non-discriminatory group of people here, so we want to invite all lady plumbers out there. to join and be part of the conversation.
I really, really, really want to say this, right? That there are so many out there that I didn't know that were out there, and I have to take my fair of that responsibility. I used to joke around in the groups and, say sort of what people class as banter and stuff. And then, excuse me, one of the ladies said to me, "You do know that your daughter will be this lady one day? Like, would you imagine saying that thing to your daughter, whatever?" And then that really like flicked a light switch to me, and I sort of thought, God, what have I been? Why would I have been like that? Because like, if someone spoke to my daughter in some of the comments and jokes that I might have made in my past, so it would be great. I've actually appointed a lady to the admin team of Plum Chat now to try and encourage more women to show their face, because they're out there. They're just not comfortable in speaking out too much, because there's still a lot of people that they might see it as banter, but they do sort of like highlight the fact that it's a woman. So yeah, really, I really, really, really would love to see some ladies like put themselves out there and come and join us on these shows, and let's hear from your experiences as well.
So today I discovered on that, what was the site, Tom,
Stopcocks.
Stopcocks.
I think it was Ethan that actually shared it on the group.
Okay. Speaking of,
I've actually got Hattie, who's I think she's a CBE or MBE winner, not winner, like awarded.
Yeah.
She's going to be coming on my podcast show soon. We've been liaising for a while and just haven't nailed it down.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She should know we're doing a Uber shout out of her proposition right now. But I think it's great. I really like it. I really like the proposition. I think this is just, she's got a lot of guts to just niche down and stand for something. And, there's definitely a market out there, and why not? I would love her to come and join us on a Wayne's World Wednesday and just chat about, just through her.
I'm getting the exclusive on the main podcast, Mr. Francis. Okay. All right, I'm getting the exclusive, and then she might come on the Wayne's World show.
Okay,
all right.
I can't believe they've been going since 1990 though, and you've never even heard of them till yesterday.
Oh, see, I've known they have made some waves around, because like I say, she's been awarded the MBE, so she is quite high profile in the industry. I'm surprised you didn't know about it.
Man, I do live in an island. It's like
But what I love the branding. I think it's fantastic. I think it's so tongue in cheek, like pushes the boundaries to the meaning, and I loved it. I thought hats off to her, definitely, and all the other ladies.
It looks really professional, and definitely 100%. And it's like you said before, we do make jokes in the group, and about everything really, and a lot of it's just because it's just the way people have been for years. But a lot of time it's just tongue in cheek kind of crap. But it's the reason why everyone can't contribute on every forefront, whether it's plumbing or whatever.
It's a touchy subject, because there is a fine line between having some fun and jokes and stuff, but there is a line, and it sometimes gets a little bit murky. And we're certainly on Plum Chat, which is the big group that I've got, which has got like 24,000 people in. We sort of want to sort of start acting like, because we do have a responsibility. It's a group that I created. I wouldn't allow it if it was talking about someone's color of their skin or their sexuality or something. So why have I allowed it just because one person's a lady and one person's a man? So yeah, it is an area that we're really trying. I'm going to try and play my part in helping, definitely.
I'll tell you what as well though, it would be not to put too much of a business twist on it, it would make a lot of people more comfortable. I feel I've got customers, elderly customers, if they knew there's a lady coming around rather than a hairy ass bloke, they'd probably feel much more at ease. It's you've got to diversify in that respect, I think. And there's a lot of people that probably won't call tradesmen for that very reason, because they don't trust them. And the more they feel more comfortable with a woman. So it's not a bad idea, you know. And there's probably plenty that want to do it. They're just waiting for someone to ask them to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I do a couple of speeches a year at a local high school. This year was on Zoom, obviously. And it's funny because the minute I stand up and start talking, this year it was sitting, you can just see all the girls in the room. You know, they're all just like not interested. And I really try and say, look, no, it can be for you. You know, don't just think because you are a lady that you can't do it. You know, it's funny how the perception of what is a man's job and a woman's job can be instilled from such a young age.
Definitely, but they probably apply a lot more organisation to the trade.
Yeah,
which is, you know, it's some of the biggest failings, isn't it? But it's just get their attention, I suppose. Fair play to you.
Definitely. Cool. Nice. I don't know how we ended up talking about that.
Because it sounds like balls.
Oh yeah, it started from that.
I was thinking, what about all the nice lady plumbers out there? What do they bring? Bravery, heart, passion. Okay, never mind. We got 10 minutes. If there aren't any burning questions, and would anyone on this Zoom want us to troubleshoot a business challenge or have something that like our collective multi-skilled experienced brains to brainstorm?
You teach me how to use Excel.
Not in 10 minutes.
No.
I've never been able to use Excel. I just pay someone to create the spreadsheet that I want when I want it, because I just can't do it. I've tried. It's not for me.
Okay.
See, when you price your boilers, Wayne, do you see over here we've got quite a big retail market. Everything's like, how much does that cost? Do I get 10% off? Whereas I feel in the UK it's more like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more you price from what it costs you and you add a bit on.
So this is where I might get a bit controversial, especially with Etan, because I know he loves his numbers. But I don't make any markup per se on the materials. So when I'm costing something out, I literally my physical process is boiler £750 plus VAT. Obviously, yeah, these are plus VAT. Flue £70, filter £100. Right, then I know that the minimum I can charge is £750. So that's the minimum that I have to charge per boiler install. Sometimes I can squeeze it. Sometimes it needs to be a bit more because it might need an extra pair of hands on the day. And that my margin on the materials effectively is sort of in the labor. I don't itemize this, by the way. Sorry, so it's not like I'm sending this out itemized. The customer gets it as a one whole price, including VAT. But from me working it out, that's how I literally just need the basic material costs. I know how many days, so whichever, if it's 2 days, it's 1,500. If it's 3 days, it's 1,225, whatever it is. And that's it. I don't add 10% on materials and stuff like that. It's just something I've never done. I've just tried to keep it straight, clean, so anyone can follow it. I can teach someone how to price a boiler on my behalf in 10 minutes.
And then, so then basically it's so you'll just get the materials. That's the material cost, end of story, and then you just got one figure which covers your lads' wages and then your profit.
And my profit, yeah.
Because I do think that's a better way of doing it, because then you can book work in for weeks and weeks and weeks, and people are less likely to go and get competitive quotes against you. But if you just focus on boilers and hot water cylinders, because Jersey, I've got to be careful because we don't have gas. It's not, obviously, I appreciate a gas boiler is a bit more straightforward than an oil-fired boiler, and if it's central to the building,
you say it's different, but it's still just a big box with 2 or 4 pipes coming out of it, isn't it? Or am I totally wrong now? You might tell me I'm wrong, but
with the oil-fired, it's just where the flue is. The flues are difficult sometimes, and if you've got to get a flexible flue liner down and it's an old country house, it can be a pig. You've got to get a cherry picker in, this kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay,
that's a different kettle of fish. But essentially, you are right. I know exactly what you're saying. If it was a straight, if the flue's married up, then the world would be an easier place. And if there wasn't people that govern the Offtech world a bit too strictly sometimes, should I say, like fire valves central to the building, or you've got to run a new one in, so I have to dig up half the house. Let's get real. It's not going to happen. They're not going to want to do that. So, I've got to get away from that. But I think in terms of pricing and getting fluid, like you said, in the service thing, so I'm going to sign up to all those things, by the way, just to get my secretary in order. Cool. That is a better way of doing it. I feel.
What I see is people get very, very precious over getting the price right. They get in like an overthinking state about having to cover everything. They're worried that that it's not right. And I've always had this attitude, but I think Boxed's model reaffirmed to me that I just keep doing what I do and just go, if anything, streamline it even more, because they've paved the way for simplicity pricing, haven't they? In regards to, like, you answer a few questions and bang. I can't remember who I was on the phone call. I was on the phone earlier to one of my coaching calls. Was it you, Nathan? No, it wasn't. No, someone. Anyway, and my engineer rang 3 times, right? And I was like, oh, no, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to just, there's obviously something's gone wrong here. It was like, oh, I need a price. And literally within 45 seconds, I'd given him the price. He had given the quote to the customer, and the customer had accepted within 2 minutes. And the guy on I can't remember who it was, but the guy on the other phone of the call, he was just like, oh my God, I'd have been there for like 45 minutes trying to work out that price. And he said, you've done it in like later of 2 minutes. And I think that it's more of a mindset block. I really do. I think that
sorry, you mentioned Etan before, and it's something controversial. So what I'd be interested to hear his take and how he approaches it. If it's
take the floor, Etan, man. Yeah, it's interesting.
We're completely different ends. The one thing that is worth saying is, from both ends, we come out the same price. That's the really crazy thing about it.
We did it. However, we did an work
did you did say that. Yeah, I remember last week you said,
So I built what's called a pricing calculator. And the reason that I built the pricing calculator is because we have like 10 different agents, all with different commission structures. We have people pricing the jobs that don't know anything about boilers. So for instance, Rachel, who does a lot of my pricing, she's my office manager. She doesn't know anything about boilers. So I built this Excel calculator. You put in the price of the materials, you put in how many days labor and in how many hours labor. So like, let's say 2 days, 5 hours or whatever. You put in any miscellaneous costs. So for that would be like a roofer. You type in if there's rubbish disposal and you put in how much that's going to be. And then at the bottom, you've got your drop-down boxes. And one of them is the agent, whether it's a private customer, and that calculates a percentage. And then the one underneath that is the risk of the job. And if it's a pig, the pricing reflects that. And if it's a walkthrough, the pricing reflects that. So you put all the numbers in, it spits out a price. And it's been that way. I built it in February, and I price every single job that goes through the company through this calculator. And I swear I've seen the difference, because there's no emotion in it. So whether it's Doris from down the road that's 90 and has got no heating and like, I really want to just do it for free, or it's some bastard that is going to be an absolute nightmare to get the money, the computer does it for me. And that way I managed to take out the human.
That's what I need for my lads when they're going out, because I find without the use of a helicopter, I'm not going to get to all these jobs. But I've got 1 or 2 that I can trust, and exactly that. I can just say to them, right, go out, you know the score, you know what's necessary. We need a condenser, 5-valve, a flue, magnetic filter, etc. Doesn't need a cleanse. And then they can just go tick, 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 tick. And then, like you said, the risk factor, is it central to the building, or is it a straight swap straight out the wall? So how did you do it? And when can I have it?
So Wayne has something that I passed over. We built a special form for the lads. So there's 2 things that we've done. We built a special quoting form, and it asked them, it's a ServiceMate form. Do you use ServiceMate?
Yeah, so we started with that last week. So again, need to get a bit more familiar with that, but yeah.
So they fill out, so it says to them, what are the dimensions of the current boiler? What's the current configuration? And then they do the walk. and they press the buttons and they check the boxes, and then it spits out a form that goes to the office. They can see all the materials, they can see what they need, and then they do the price calculator, and I don't really have to be involved. But Hazel, I've been saying, is building something even more special, which is going to be literally they walk around the site and they say, it needs a 30 kilowatt boiler, it needs a power flush, it needs this, it needs TRVs, and it spits out the quote while they're there on the fancy paper, the whole bit. And she'll obviously be selling that on to anyone, I guess. She's doing it like a reseller thing. So that's something to look out for as well. But the important thing is both methods work perfectly well. It's just that I'm anal and Wayne is not.
And that sums it up. And everyone is different. And that's the lesson there, is that there's different ways to skin a cat. Yeah. It doesn't mean my way's right. It doesn't mean Etan's way's right. For me, right, I'm probably classed as a lazy person. So I want the path of least restriction to get me to the end result. I'm not willing to put the work in, obviously, but
you
it's
like
a generalization. Pardon?
You're like water. You take the easiest route.
Yeah. I follow the easiest route where I can, obviously within reason, and that's why what suits me. For me to sit there and fill out a form just to give me a price, it would drive me mad. I haven't got the patience. So maybe lazy was the wrong word. Maybe it was no patience. But yeah, both like we say, we did a test and it was so funny, wasn't it? When we sat there, we both looked up at each other and was like, how has that happened? We've literally come out within pennies of each other. So really it's about finding what's best for you, what you're comfortable with. And it just shows that there are lots of different ways to get to the end result.
I know. Happy days, lads. Happy days. Really good. Thanks very much.
Excellent.
Okay, everybody, it's 9 o'clock on the hour. I think it's time to wrap up until another thrilling Wayne's World Wednesdays.
Come on, what theme tune have we got? Come on, what we got to end the show with? Please be good. Please.
I've only prepared the intro. I don't do the intro. But
wow. Okay, you just put a pin in my balloon then.
I can think about it for next week. Sorry.
Are you being serious?
Okay, let me find something real quick. Okay.
Must do better, Francis. Must do better, mate.
He's got to, yeah. And we've got to leave this show pumped up, even though it's 9 o'clock. Maybe we should do one in the morning so we can take that on to the next day. But come on, Francis. The pressure's on. Well,
if you start with your ending words, I will put some music on.
Last week I pointed at the camera. I don't know. I liked that. I felt very powerful. What's the lesson from Titanic? Come on, think, Wayne. Think. Don't let go.
Really,
don't ever
really
let go of a good idea. You know, they'll make a film about it in 100 years' time.
Okay. Sorry.
I can't believe you've just done that. I'm sitting here with my baseball cap on backwards, trying to be cool. I'm trying to be cool, and you're playing Celine Dion. My heart will go on.
Okay. Sorry.
Guys, jeez, sinking ship.
This is a great way to end. Go, Wayne.
Just remember that unless you take action, nothing is going to change. You have to lead your life in the direction that you want to go. So whether that be you need to find that direction, or whether that is you need to take the first few steps along that path, the key is move forward. Take them steps and fight the obstacles that might show up along the way. Have
nice
a good day.
One. See you guys later. See you next week on another Wayne's World Wednesday.
Hey.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by Off the Tools.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. I just wanted to pull it out there for anyone listening that I offer business coaching, but also life coaching. My life is centered around something called the 3 Bs, which stands for body, business, and balance. When you work with me as a coach, we tackle all 3 aspects of life. So you as an individual, body, mindset, health, fitness, knowledge, education. Business B obviously stands for your business, improving, maximizing opportunities, elevating, making more money. And balance stands for for friends, family, loved ones, making time for everything in your life. And the 3 Bs is the core element to that. If you'd like to learn more, I would ask you to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might be consuming my information. Or you can email me directly at wayne@offthetools.co.uk. I'm here waiting to assist you to elevate across all aspects of life. Have a good one. No excuses. Let's go.